Well, hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of 1025. Today I'm keeping my distance from you. See, that's what a lot of the conversation has been recently with all of the COVID concerns. I think the phrase of the year is going to be social distancing. I don't know if you've gone out in public lately, maybe to the grocery store. I mean, honestly, that's about as much as we venture into public right now. But you go to the grocery store and you go to Aldi's, and there's these one-way aisles now, so that you can keep your 6 feet of distance from each other. Or you go to Mac and Tunes, and now they have at the checkout these different stickers on the floor to tell you how much distance you need to be keeping from each other. So here's my question. How are you doing with all of this social distancing? You know, I'll be honest with you. For me, it's really, really hard. See, I'd much rather be right here. I'd much rather be close to you. Because for me, one of my love languages, one of the ways that I express and receive love is by being close to people. It's that physical touch element. So I want to be able to lean in. I want to be able to listen to you. I want to be able to give you a hug or a handshake or a back slap or a high five. And right now, I realize that I can't do that. You know, I think about Jesus and his ministry and how often the Gospels say that he touched someone or that he allowed them to touch him. And that was a way of expressing love. Physical touch is one of those love languages. And right now, we can't do that. And that's hard. You know, I think about the resurrection accounts. And even just looking at John chapter 20, you see that there is no social distancing. Jesus doesn't keep his distance, and he doesn't ask others to keep their distance from him. No, he allows them to get close, even as he gets close to them. So Mary, as she meets Jesus in the garden, as she sees him for the first time, what does she do? She wraps her arms around him. She gives him a hug. She holds on to him. There is no social distancing. And later the disciples, as they're huddled together in an upper room out of fear for the Jews, Jesus, it says, he showed up and he stood amongst them. He was close to them. And even when Thomas wasn't there, a week later, Jesus appears to Thomas. And what does he do? He holds out his hands and he says, Thomas, here, touch it. See the nail marks. See the spear marks. Put your faith in me. He allows other people to get close to him. There is no social distancing. And yet, that's where we find ourselves right now. And this started to hit home with me a couple of weeks ago. See, a couple of weeks ago, I was having a conversation with one of the families from here at St. John's. And one of the members, her dad, lived down in Arizona. And she was sharing with me that her dad had contracted the virus. And her dad was in an ICU unit dying from COVID. Can you imagine how difficult it is to be in that position? And what made it infinitely worse is she couldn't go there. She couldn't be with him. The grief process was totally messed up. When someone close to us, when a loved one is dying, what do we want to do? We want to go. We want to be able to hold their hand. We want to be able to sit beside them. We want to be able to reassure them of our love. And we want to be able to allow them to go, to reassure them that it's okay to go into the loving arms of their Lord and Savior, Jesus. We want to be close to them. And yet this family was being told that they needed to keep their distance, that they couldn't see their dad, that they couldn't say goodbye to their dad. And it was gut-wrenching. So how did they process that? Well, in the days after their dad, their grandpa, passed away, as I was talking with the family, I was struck by one of these phrases. They said, "Wow, this is hard. Here's the hope that we have. There is no social distancing in heaven." And that struck me. There is no social distancing in eternity. You know, the same way that Jesus in his ministry reached out and he touched people and he healed people and he showed love to people and he allowed them to get close to him. The same ways that he interacted with his disciples post-resurrection, that's a glimpse of what eternity will be. There is no social distancing in heaven. And so right now, I know that this is hard. It's hard for me. I've got to imagine for many of you, it's hard also. It's hard to be told to keep our distance. But let me reassure you of this. It's a season. It's for now. It's not forever. I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know how long we're going to be told that we need to keep our distance. I don't know how it's going to look different on the other side of COVID. But here's what I know. Here's what that family reminded me of. There is no social distancing in heaven. One day, Jesus will draw us close to him. And we'll be able to draw close to each other as well. So today in the comment section, let me just invite you to post what's difficult for you in this season of social distancing. Share that. Know that we lament that along with you. It's hard. But there is hope. You see, there's no social distancing in heaven. And I'll see you again tomorrow.